All right, I'm gonna start recording. Recording. That's totally gonna be in the video. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to TBD Podcast, where art and media seems to be determined by culture and vice versa. Here on TBD, we have conversations on popular media, whether it be memes, art, or music, and how it is reflective of what's going on around us. I'm Renzo.
And I'm Alana, and today we'll be talking about the COVID vaccine and some media that we've seen surrounding that topic.
Okay, we'll start with this one.
Yeah. It was Johnson & Johnson?
Yeah, I just told him I had asthma.
Do you?
Probably. The vaccine won't work on me. I already got COVID twice. And I hate shots.
No, it's not 100%, right? I'm going to ask for a third shot.
I don't think it's sure that everyone has a chance to get it, so I'm gonna wait.
No, I'm not getting that microchip. The government lives in my computer. They don't need to know every time I take a shit. Yeah. It was Johnson & Johnson?
Yeah, I just told him.
All right. I think that's pretty accurate of what people are kind of experiencing right now in terms of what the vaccines are and what they represent.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about this, or do you want to go on to the next one?
I can say something. I think in the beginning, and I think I'm like one included, is that a lot for me. I'm not gonna speak in general. For me, I think in the beginning it was more like I was scared because it's so new,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like, I don't know if this is like happened like obviously it's like not the first time this world's had a pandemic, but it's like the first time that a vaccine has come so quickly, and
Yes.
we're like we have to put trust into something that's like it's not even been tested and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a scary part. But as the months came by, it's like, okay, now it's something that I'm gonna have to get, and
Yeah,
and just trust in the science behind it.
for sure. I think I was definitely on the side of like, I don't want to turn into a zombie when they, like, I mean, not gonna lie, that was the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, I don't want to turn into some mutation. Don't ask me why. Maybe I just watch too much zombie movies. But I also just felt like my risk was low, myself personally, and that's like kind of ignorant to say, especially me living with my aunts and uncles who are all senior citizens. And so, granted, I've been very careful. I've tried not being out with as many people as possible and wearing a mask at all times. But like for me personally, I just felt like my risk was low, and so I was like, if I hadn't gotten corona now, which is a very ignorant thing to say now that I'm saying it out loud, is like because I haven't had corona yet, like what's the point of me like trying to get it? So I wasn't in a big hurry to do it. And the only reason why I finally went and did it was because someone signed me up for it. Like they were like, "Oh, I found a time slot for you to be able to go and get your shot." And I was like, I'm not completely against it. I was just pushing it off as far as I can. And so when the chance presented itself, I just went and did it. So here I am, vaccinated at the moment.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, I have one scheduled for like next week, and it will be my first dose since like I wanted it before, but let's just say my family has a tendency to get into COVID scares, and we at that point we've had like 3 COVID scares in a fucking row, and it was like because my mom's side of the family, like everyone on my mom's side had it. Like when I say everyone, like everyone, not even at the same time. It would be like here and then here and then here, and it was something that I was like, no, like it's just crazy because you can be the person who's very cautious and has the safest plan and wear your mask and you can still get it, and it's still
Sure.
like nobody is guaranteed to not get it. And it's like, and I think some people still don't realize it. Like, it's still around, and
Yeah.
and especially with summer coming up, I think that's something that's very like fearful. Especially like, it was crazy because yesterday I was in class and we had a conversation like about how the mayor of New York was saying that New York is going to be open like in July, officially open in July, and that was scary in itself because New York is already has a lot of people, and Times Square already has a lot of people. Now you're saying that it's officially open. It's like, I don't know, you know. So
They said July 1st they were opening, like fully open New York City. I just saw it on the news today. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it was crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy
But
because
in a sense, it help out like economy.
no, you go, you go.
Oh, I was just saying, like in a sense, it'll help out the economy, and I guess we'll talk about that more as the videos progress, because this is a very multi-layer kind of conversation. Do you want to go on the next ones?
Yeah.
Speaking of vaccines, right? Just before we transition to the next videos, like different vaccines have definitely given a platform to like kind of represent your vaccine in a way. Like I personally got Pfizer, and the videos I'm going to show are the ones from my For You page, and so it's definitely biased in that sense. Whatever Moderna gang, but here I'll play the next one.
I made a mistake. Mine's actually 95%. I'll have to check the other 90. Yeah, no, I just I forgot to tally the one. I just think it's convenient that as soon as you got mine is 94.5. You change off 95. Wait, the dog man, 94.5. You sound more like a radio station than a vaccine.
All right, that was just really dumb. And then I'm gonna play the next one.
Get the Pfizer vaccine.
Wait, hold on.
If you got Moderna, then I don't know if it's going to. This message is brought to you by Pfizer Gang.
That's crazy.
Hot people get the Pfizer vaccine.
That's crazy.
And then this one.
What vaccine did you get?
Moderna.
Moderna?
What about you?
Pfizer. What vaccine?
I think that's the statement of that. I think it's all right. So I would say that these definitely exemplify the fact that America is so privileged at the moment, especially coming from like a time where we had the highest cases, and like a lot of people were dying. Not to say that lightly, because that was a really rough time, and a lot of people close to me have had I've had like friends and family pass, and so it's kind of crazy how like getting the vaccine. I want to say tribalism, because like you got the Moderna tribe and the Pfizer tribe, the Johnson and Johnson, and like I don't know, it's just funny how people kind of make fun of something that's meant to be for the greater good, and then also the privilege of like, it's not even that, oh, you don't have the vaccine, it's more like, oh, you have that vaccine,
Right.
which is like, you're still vaccinated. Like there are other places in this world, like to talk about the Philippines, for me, like getting tested was an issue because they had to pay for testing, and I think it was like 2000, and someone please definitely correct me in terms of how much you have to actually pay, but because of like what's the word, just capitalism and the corruption in the Philippine government, that someone needs to make a profit off of these, even just the testing. It was hard for anybody to get tested and then to find out, and it was kind of like, why get tested when you're already sick and pay just for them to tell you that yes, you have corona. And so like even now with this feels like a first world problem where like representing your vaccine is like, oh, I have the better one, whereas other countries are like, we can't even afford one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like when you, I don't know. It's like living here, you realize that a lot of our problems are not even problems, and it's like, compared to other people and other countries, and it's just your problems are not even a speck of what other people's problems are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even the news that we received this week about India.
A lot of the cases have been going up. And I think it's hard. You know, I think a lot of times, I feel like it's easy to remember at NJIT, but other colleges, that they're international students. And when this whole thing started, of course, there was like fear in everyone, but there was a lot of fear, especially in internet for international students and for people who were alone in this country in terms of their family being back at their country. And it's just crazy to think about. You know, like for me, it's not as scary as other people because my family have a support system. You know what I mean? While other people don't, and I can see where that is very fearful and very different to take in. You know?
Yeah. And I think social media, even amidst all of this, like just to talk about like relief in other countries, like I know I've seen a couple people post about donating to India for them to be able to just have clean air. I think the donations went to oxygen tanks and filling them up to use in hospitals and stuff like that. And that's not even like going towards vaccinating them. And so like they're just trying to get oxygen tanks in the same way that we needed ventilators back when COVID first started, and even just like PPE, right? And so like having gone through, sorry, my dog is like barking sad. But having gone through like even for a first world country who has all these resources, and even then not having enough, like it still just shows the amount of privilege that we had, because we were able to, as bad as it was, we were still able to make it through, and we're now at this place where we can have vaccines for everyone.
Yeah. And
then it brings the question,
free. I say basically because they ask for your insurance, but
no, but even if they ask for your insurance, they don't take it. Like they ask for my insurance, but like I've heard people say that they didn't even have to. And that begs the question again, like that whole idea of universal healthcare. Like, is it really that impossible if we were able to rally like this, and insurance companies were able to make this be available for free for everybody? Why couldn't they do that for everything else? Like, let's be real, like people have diabetes. It is just what it is. And so like insulin, like why couldn't insulin be a thing that could be free and stuff like that? So it begs that question, and I'm not in a position to be talking about this politically and socioeconomically, but I think this definitely makes a lot of people more aware about the possibility of that, and how it's not so impossible. And I guess like, sorry, I'm going on, but architecture, in school we talk a lot about how all these systems are interconnected, and down to like the materials of things and stuff like that. And so all of this can affect one another. I had a drawing for equity class, and we talked about how architecture can make a difference in terms of different equity, and this could be like disabilities in healthcare. And so like changing the program of a building, like I got my vaccine from an old Sears department store, and they quickly turned that to a vaccination site. Like the idea of a place being changed into something else very quickly without really needing like code restrictions and stuff like that, like a big box store turning into a healthcare facility. Like what are the steps that we can take so that those things can be more readily available for normal people, say like even for restaurants to be able to be coded to be outside versus inside, and like what it is or what it means to be able to change those kinds of things. But yeah.
No, yeah. No, I agree with you, and I also think like it's like situations. Well, I'm not gonna even say situations. This is like in my lifetime. This is like the first big thing in terms of like a whole fucking global pandemic. But it's like big things that get things moving, and I think this, especially with everything intertwined, with the racial
Mm-hmm.
injustice and everything else, it really shows people the cracks of the government
Yeah,
system, and
for sure.
and in terms of like, oh, okay, this has been happening for like a long time, but now we see it because now there's a lot more proof, or there's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like a lot of things coming up at the same time,
Yeah,
and this is when people start asking the recurring questions, but also new questions like, if this was to change, will it stay the same? If this was to change, like
yeah,
how can we keep it to in order for it to actually be changed? And I don't know. I just think that some of these TikToks that you've shown are just the surface of asking these questions, even
for
in a
sure.
comedic way, um,
Yeah.
and stuff.
Should we move on to the other videos?
Yeah.
I think this one's pretty cool. There we go. And then, should I show the last one too?
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna do it. I love it. But yeah, I guess the comedic one's the first two, just kind of shows the tribalism again. I don't know why I keep calling it tribalism. I just think it's like the battle of the fittest. Like, oh, let's see who could win. Like Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson. I feel like Johnson and Johnson is getting dragged through the mud,
But
and
I
it's
feel
not
like,
a matter.
I mean, at that,
Like
I
people are
mean,
getting
like
blood clots from it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Scientifically, like they got a reason for being dragged, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And even this last one, I think she's so cool. What's it called? The other TikToks that I've seen, like the girl with her nub, as she called it, she was saying like you gotta move your arm so that you're not sore for the rest of the day. And I think like a lot of people on TikTok, a lot of younger kids on TikTok who've seen that have been. I did that whenever I got my vaccine. I used to move my arms, and so I think it's sir. I think I'm gonna look for mine and show you my vaccine experience. Okay, here. Please do not follow me on TikTok because
Follow him. That's basically saying follow him. It's reverse psychology. Just follow him.
No, don't do it. Wait, hold on.
This is Spencer.
Yo, we're here, Foot Locker. About to get some Jordans. Look at the line.
That's me. Got my vaccine.
Yo,
That's it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like it was kind of crazy going through that, and it felt surreal walking through that maze of people and how everything was organized. It felt like every like the Hunger Games. What category of music is
I
it?
was gonna say that.
Like post-apocalyptic type like movies, which is kind of crazy because we've had a lot of them before the pandemic happened. I feel like we were overdue for this pandemic to happen based on the movies that were coming out, like freaking Hunger Games, Divergent, all this stuff, like
Yes.
Maze Runner. Think about that.
I want to say the only difference between this reality and those realities are like the people in line with you went there kind of voluntarily and signed up for it. While in like those movies, it's like it was kind of like forced upon.
No,
But then it makes me think if this was forced on us, would we have reacted the same? You know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
because like even people right now feel like they're being forced into doing these things. Like the beginning video that we saw, it was like, I don't want to be put under microchip. Like I don't want the government to know when I'm taking a poop. So like,
Yeah.
there's still people like that, and it's, I don't know, my experience getting the vaccine, the staff there, the military people, the army people that were there, the volunteers, and they were mad nice. Like me and my friend, there was a sneaker drop. That's why we were saying it was like a sneaker drop, because there was a sneaker drop that day off of the sneakers app. Nike, please sponsor us. Shout outs. But yeah, so we made friends with a guy on that works there. He was the one kind of waiting with us and asking us questions if we're still feeling okay after. Because after you get the shot, you have to wait in the facility for 30 minutes for observation. And they were playing Coco on the TV, and yes, and the guy, completely forgot his name, but I hope he's there again. But we were just bonding over like shoes and like asking each other questions and stuff like that. So in that sense, it made it very human and it made it feel less apocalyptic. And it made it really feel like, yeah, we're in this together. This is just a necessary thing for us to take so that everybody can be safe. Yeah, it's really fun. So I'm excited for you to get yours. Hopefully this the place that you're getting.
I'm excited to get mine.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Like, I feel so freaking vulnerable. And I feel like even with the vaccine, there's still a chance, but there'd be like a less likely chance.
Yeah, it's meant to lessen the effects of COVID, so like it's more manageable symptoms.
Yeah.
It's not to cure you in a way.
Yeah. And I think some people don't realize that. And like, even with the vaccine, like people still act like out here acting reckless. But I mean, it's fine. Like, I guess. But the reason that I got it is because I work. You know, like I work online, but I also work in person. So I go to my job and stuff. But also, if I want to like go back to campus, now they're reinforcing it.
Yes.
It's being like, oh, you have to be fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of places are starting to do that, and people are starting to realize if you want to get back to the normal or the new normal, you're gonna have to, you know, get it and stuff. So
take advantage of it. Again, like this is a privilege that we have. It's offered for free, and like the rest of the world doesn't get that. Like even Canada, who has like national health care, don't like. I've seen TikToks of Canadians being like, "We're on our third lockdown. please, whoever is American, give me a green card so I could just get this vaccine. And it's such a role reversal from like when we were quarantining hard in the beginning of like this past summer, and they were already like having fun or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god. And it's like around this time too, where it's like this would be kind of like the second month of our lockdown.
Like April, I work at an ice cream shop for anybody on YouTube who don't know. Absolute Ice Cream in Montclair, hit me up. This is just propaganda. But yeah, our store is a family-owned store, not my family, but I work for them. And we were closed for the whole month of April. And that was at the time when unemployment was really hard to get. And like, again, it's a family-owned store. And so I was really worried for the family that owned that store. They've helped me basically paid for my way to college. And so, yeah, it was a really sad time for them to not be able to open and to kind of go through it in that way. And seeing the reverse now with different places and hopefully for more other places to be able to open up again and have income again is definitely helpful for this economy and whatever else, and for the safety of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about when this actually happened last week, and I kid you not, I was just like, my brother came up to me and he asked me, we both signed up for it, so we're getting it like on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So he won't go alone. But he asked me, he was like, when you get the, like, he asked my mom because she was fully vaccinated, and he's like, when you get the shot, what happens to the needle? And I looked at him like, what do you mean? And he goes, what happens to the needle? Like, does it dissolve in your skin? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? What the fuck are you talking about? And I go, and I'm like, no, I think it's like a regular syringe that I'll just like it's a retractable, like I'll just retract back into the fucking like syringe.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you sure? Because I guess he was talking to some people, like his friends, and they were saying, like, when you get it, the needle dissolves with the
Sir.
the serum, I guess. And I was like,
no.
And it just reminded me how easy it is for people to believe anything, you know? And it's crazy because a lot of the information that we get is from social media.
Yes.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And it's like, I mean, I still watch the news, but it's also like social media too, because it's the fastest way.
Yeah.
And like for TikTok specifically, like your For You page, you can't calibrate it to give you the things that you want to see. It's more like it's based on what you have seen. And so if you've seen a lot of informational stuff or like funny stuff, that's just what's going to show up. And I feel like a lot of times a lot of information comes up on my For You page without me looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just remember that I was just like, oh my god.
Also, just reflecting on this past year, I think even with the elections that happened, right? Like, you really question the validity of all of the information that we get. Because, like, even the news feels like social media now where you can't even trust it. So you really have to go to the sources. Granted, I didn't go to the source whenever I went to the vaccine, and so I'm part of the problem. All right, YouTube, I'm part of the problem. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely should have gone and looked into the CDC, looked at the Pfizer and what they do, and blah blah blah. Wow, I really made that sound less severe than it actually should. Look into your sources, everybody. And so, yeah, like it's important to really distinguish between like what is factual, real, and I don't want to say believable because everything feels like believable now, but like actually, like it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think first off, let me just start by saying I don't know how the hell these companies come up with these names. Okay? Like Pfizer, Moderna, and then I already knew about Johnson & Johnson because of their
Yes.
products. And I think that's why one of the things I didn't trust Johnson & Johnson from the beginning because one, they were the only one with one shot. And then two, they always had a freaking recall on all of the fucking products. So it's like that reputation already was in my head. It was like, oh, that's the one I'm not gonna get. So for me from the beginning it was either between Pfizer and Moderna.
And then
And
the AstraZeneca one too. I don't know if you heard that. Yeah.
Oh my god. See, there's just like other vaccines that are just coming up the fucking works that are like, and I think and this is gonna sound like, I don't know if this is gonna sound like this is probably part of the issue of like the first world problems and like, but I think a lot of people had a lot of trouble trusting it, especially with the amount of options.
Yeah. Like you don't know which one is the most safe or the most right.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to what you were saying about how we as Americans and we as like an American culture make our problem scene thing. Like we actually have options while other countries don't even
Yeah.
have an option. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And I think when you really sit back and think about it, like it's just like what the fuck am I complaining about?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. But Johnson Johnson, I did not trust from the beginning. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's the whole 2-in-1 thing, man. 2-in-1 shampoo.
Yeah. No, yeah. That was the only one that had one, and I was like,
Are you
I
sure?
don't know.
Is one really
I don't
enough?
know.
All right. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Sorry. All right. I think that pretty much sums it up in terms of what we're discussing today in terms of the vaccines. For anybody out there, comment below which gang you belong. If you're in, Pfizer gang, you know what I'm saying? Pfizer fatty. That's been the hashtag I've been seeing around. But we out here, Pfizer fatty. If you got it, you got it. If you know, you know, you know.
Don't do no.
But yeah. And share with us any tips and tricks that you've learned off social media. Someone will probably fact check you out here. And everybody make sure to go to CDC guidelines if you have any questions. They're always valid, to say the least.
Yeah. And I feel
I'm
like
very
this
convinced.
discussion is not gonna be over in terms of the vaccine. It's still gonna be coming up. And stuff like that. So just keep your ears open and stuff,